Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Public Safety Committee meeting for January 3rd. I'm Steve Havey, your committee chair. We'd like to start off, please, with a roll call.
Mr. Havey?
Here.
Mr. Sear?
Present.
Mr. Barnes?
Present.
Mr. Demick?
Here.
Mr. Healy?
Here.
Mr. Rumfelt? Mr. Stockin?
Here.
And Mr. Harris. 6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. We'd like to have the approval of minutes for December 6th, please.
Stocking moves.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. There was a second. I didn't hear who it was.
Stocking.
Mr. Stockin. Thank you, sir. Any corrections or discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And those are approved. Thank you. Up first this afternoon, Mr. J.R. Santana Carter, our public defender. Sir, good afternoon and Happy New Year.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year. Not much to add. There we go. Not much to add. Same is the same. The reports submitted, the numbers are pretty consistent. I know I say it time and time again, but they keep arresting them and we keep representing them. Sometimes it works out where they're back in the community on supervision. Other times they're going to state prison and hopefully reformed to come back better men and women.
Just like one big circle, right?
It is cyclical, and sometimes that's exactly what it is, and that's what the county court judges try to point out to some of the defendants that they need to do, and it's only once they're ready to break the cycle. But unless they change their ways and through the treatment and rehabilitation, it will just be a cycle of in and out and in and out, or with their addiction, could lead to death. So again, we're just happy, and I like to point out when I do have an individual being sentenced on something very serious, I like to point out whether other people were harmed by their behavior, and if it was, we acknowledge that, but we also acknowledge that things a lot of times could be worse. So again, they just keep coming. Same for family court, trying to keep families together when it comes to abuse and neglects, and handle the custody matters that are always there.
Well, we certainly appreciate all your efforts to keep that big wheel of justice moving. Thank you.
No problem. The only other thing is, I'm kind of proud to say that we just was approved for some funding, but I'll leave that to Mr. Degnan to give that number. But it's a substantial amount for, I think, at least 3 years. But again, he'll give the details. Just Happy New Year's, and good to see everyone.
Excellent. Any other
you.
questions? Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. Okay. Mr. Jeff Lucky, Emergency Management and Fire Director. Sir, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I just want to report on a couple things. On December 6th, I attended the Solar Eclipse Planning Meeting in Western New York. It's still, actually, it'll be here on April 8th, approximately 3:15. Will happen the solar eclipse here. It varies in different places from Cuba only having about 36 seconds to a couple minutes in the northern part of the county. Basically, it follows a straight line of the I-86 is the edge of the totality. I was fortunate enough to have Paul Weaver, who's your chairman of the EMS Advisory Board. He's a study of solar eclipses, and he'll be assisted with us. I have a meeting scheduled with the sheriff for tomorrow to start some of the early planning of that. But as far as Paul kind of agrees with me, we don't see a huge impact here. Our hotels will be full. Our campsites hopefully be full. There will be people here, but in not a situation where we'll be roadblock. Some people from the lower part of the county think they travel up to the northern part of the county, but we're not going to be a destination spot. Also, at the last Western New York meeting, they said that from the Erie County group, they were expecting 1 million people in the region. Now it's cut down to 500,000. So we'll get better numbers as it goes, but it's not looking as dramatic, but we'll be ready for it.
Okay.
I also attended, I had several of you did too, the Upper Genesee River Flood Management Meeting. That was very well put together. The group came in, discussed a few things. They were looking for problems on the river. to identify that and do GPS studies like that on it, and possibly look for other funding of source. You heard me mention before about the Mutual Link, the pilot program that's going in. It's a radio linking system, and it's primarily going into schools, Genesee Valley being a pilot here in our county, and one other school over in Cattaraugus County. So we're the first in the state to have this Mutual Link in their schools. We have a meeting next week with the Mutual Link directives of that as far as getting that more a walkthrough. We did the initial sign-up, initial walkthrough, but more of a half-day training on that. Last thing I have to report is that the Rush Creek Fire, which is the forest fire we had over in the town of Canandaigua, we had a critique, a very good critique, had a good number of the departments respond. Also had the state police there and the forest rangers there. And again, it was unique in the sense that it was one of the largest ones, definitely in our county ever. It also was very well referred back to of how well we did, given the circumstance we did, and having a fall one, and obviously we had lessons learned from it. And a few things that way, again, is something we don't normally respond to, so the departments did a great job of coordinating. Mr. Barnes has a
Now,
question.
when was that?
The fire,
Yeah,
I'd have to look, like the 18th, I think, November 18th was the fire, I think. And it was like 5 days, so I think it was like the 18th to the 22nd.
how much, how many acres?
Oh, 138 acres.
138?
Yeah.
And is that private property?
It was, I'll say roughly 130 of it was on state land and 8 acres are private property.
And the cause?
Campfire, unattended campfire. Accidental, we think it was called a duff. I told Steve about this, so underneath the trees and stuff like that, all the vegetative material builds up, it's called duff. Under the right conditions, it could kind of burn underground. And so the campfire was there, so we don't think it spread while the person was there. Just left and thought they had it out possibly, and it might have migrated out from his stones that he kind of laid up as a campfire, might have migrated out from the stones and started that. We know it burned for at least, we're guessing 12 hours before we were notified, if not 24 hours.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Jeff? I have just one.
Sure.
There's been some publicity recently about junior firefighters.
Yes.
Is that new to the county, having junior firefighter groups?
No, it's been a long-standing thing.
Has it?
I know the one we did last year inspired some, so hopefully that played off as it would. It inspired that. We are still planning on doing that again probably in the spring.
Good.
It just didn't work out for this fall. Last year we invited in people that were junior firefighters to think about doing it. I haven't looked at that report. I've given a report like last year. In October we did again, I gave an update on that.
That's right. Okay.
But yeah, no, I think it's just that helped inspired it.
Excellent.
And also, us talking about trying to get into BOCES with the EMT program
Yeah.
and potentially go into that. So I think it's just a cyclic thing that's coming around. But thanks to your help, with sponsoring some of it, some of the people. Of course, the Allegheny leadership was the initial
Leadership delegation.
group that started that as a project.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for Jeff? Oh, Jennifer.
Sorry. So counselors in schools are scheduling kids' schedules for next year, starting in January. Has BOCES got a plan yet, do you know, for that EMT class?
Yeah, we had another meeting here, it's this month yet,
Okay,
a follow-up meeting to that.
okay, thank you.
I'm not sure the date.
Okay. Anything else for Jeff? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Bonnie Van Housen, our Emergency Medical Services Coordinator. Happy New Year, Bonnie.
Happy New Year. December, I went up to the New York State SEMSCO CMAC meetings and the committee meetings that were there. And as was reported while I was still up there, that they were talking about the sunset date for the CCs. I've since reached out to the CCs. Scott and I both did when we were up there still, and I've reached out to some since I've gotten back. We are looking at, several of them, after talking to them, would be consider going through the bridge program that was through Northwell, if we can do it through our classroom and make it a class. Northwell, so we can't actually pull it as a class. They each have to individually register, but we could have it so that they have like study groups, which would be with an instructor to explain and do the work from there. So I'm working with Northwell right now to see how that would work out and how that would look. So that's one of my things I've been working hard on. Because we have approximately 16 and we don't want to lose them to
No.
not being able to provide that ALS service.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to highlight from your report?
I don't think so.
Questions for Bonnie?
Our EMT class is going to start up January 9th, and I think we've got 12 right now, and I got a call this morning that we got 4 more, so we should be upwards of 20 for our new EMT class. AEMT class is still going on, paramedic class is still going on. We have a continuing medical education, so that the people that don't come in and refresh, they can recert. That's starting in January 17th, so we've got a bunch of classes going on that we're working on,
Excellent.
keeping busy.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Up next, we have Ian Jones, our brand-new district attorney. Happy New Year, Mr. District
everybody.
Attorney.
Don't have a lot to say, just have the report. It's been submitted. The numbers are all there. Nothing that really sticks out to me, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay.
Anybody?
Oh, Mr. Barnes.
Yes.
Yes, where does your department stand now as far as personnel?
Well, thankfully, thanks to you folks, we have a new part-time position, which is essentially filled. As a matter of fact, I think he started about an hour ago. And a full-time, which we're talking with someone, I just spoke with him again last night in Friendship Town Court about coming over. He wants to come over. We just have to make sure everything works. That would put us in a much better position. I think one of the biggest things we need to address is manageable caseloads for people. So we're not having people, they're at a point where they really just can't do what's necessary on each case. So that'll go a long way. We'll kind of get settled in with that. It's probably more attorneys than the office has ever had before. So we're very grateful that all of you kind of see the need that we've had and have helped us out with that. And so I'm happy with where we're at. It's better than any place we've ever been at before. So
So as far as court situation and so on and so forth, is things progressing to the point where things are moving about as rapidly as possible?
yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think we're doing as well as we can at this point. Like I said, thank you to all of you for allowing. I mean, I've come in here and asked for a lot over the last few years, and I've always been very open to what I have to say, and I think that's gone a long way in getting us to where we need to get.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about your support staff? Any other needs
Well,
do you perceive coming about?
first and foremost, we still have a vacancy. So we have 4 positions right now, one of which has been vacant for a while. So we'd really like to get that filled. The thought process would be that it would be really beneficial to take that vacant position and have it be a paralegal. But this is, thoughts in my own head at this point. I haven't talked to anybody else about that, but I think that would go a long way. But first and foremost, you have a spot sitting there empty, you got to get it filled, or else it's hard to complain about stuff not getting done. So,
Thank you.
yeah, sure.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you all.
Up next, Mr. Peter Degnan, our conflict defender. Sir, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you very much. I submitted our report. Seem to be on track to continue to have a lot of representation. I have good news. We just got a email while I was sitting here that we got more money coming in, another $750,000 grant. So that's for ILS, for family court. So the money just keeps coming in. So we just got to figure a way to spend it. So that's great. So we'll get that going. We got some ideas on that, maybe some case managers, some other things. Good news, bad news, we're coming to the end of our cycle for our grant. So we are on literally the stress express to spend all our unspent money by March. So I think if we're going to get an extension relative to the building, we should have plans and expenses ready by February. I talked to ILS. They're very open to the ideas of paying for something, but they also want architectural plans and expenses, and they're supposed to get back to me. The ILS representative had COVID, so he was sick, and we did have a pretty long discussion about it, but he's like, just wanting to do it is not going to be enough. It's like, we're going to have some real hardcore numbers. This grant expires in March. They're very reluctant to extend it unless we really have a plan. So I'll come back in February. I think we should try and get a plan to get that building done at least in February so we can submit it to them, get the approvals, and then hopefully get that extended, because that's a gaggle of money. I think it's over $600,000. So and that will just evaporate.
I have spoken with Tom Windus. There's a meeting set up tomorrow with our design engineer. We've put a drop dead date, if we can, mid-February. So I have expressed that we need those details and it shouldn't be an issue prior to that.
Great.
So I think we'll be in pretty good shape to give you what you need. Spoken with Carissa, we're all aware of it, so we're gonna work at it. We gotta make sure we don't lose that.
Yeah, it would just be silly. Yeah,
it
and
would.
so I appreciate it, and I appreciate all your hard work on that, because that's going to be fantastic. Next month, just give you a little preview, just like in the movies. We're going to be coming in with a lot of things that we need to spend our money on, so it doesn't end by March. So we want to try and use all that state money up. It's going to be some software, we want to try and equip it, so if we can have the plans ready, we can try and get our furniture order in and really try and maximize that amount. So we're meeting Thursday to sort of plan on what we have left and how to do it. And then, because our new round of funding starts, so we want to continue on, that's sort of contingent on our other funding. So, and we're getting more funding. So that's where it's at.
I noticed you used the word silly to let this go. I would agree with that. That's not the word I would use, but that's more polite.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a benefit to the people of the county. And
It is.
They're going to get a building
is.
built, and they're going to use it, and it's going to employ workers here, and it's going to do all the good things that we need to have done and create a lot of good space, and it's just going to, I think it's going to be great for the community.
If we don't use it, somebody else will.
Well, it goes back to
Yeah.
the state, and
There you go.
there's nobody here who wants it to go back to Albany, I'm sure.
I don't think so.
And even ILS doesn't want it to go back. So
Mr. Finn?
we have a new 3-year round of funding coming up. And so this round ends in March, and we're going to have to get an extension, but in our last meeting, they told us, listen, part of it is they want it spent. Like, we can't budget if you keep kicking the can down the road, essentially. So they really want it spent. We want to go to our new round, and we can go to our new round of funding. We'll have a beautiful joint down the road, and all will be happy in the world, I guess.
Yeah, done right, we spend this state money correctly. It's going to enhance how you're able to do your job and how we're able to serve the public. So, we can't let it slip through our fingers.
Right, the public will be much better off, and I think even if we have a conference room, and there are people, public defender could probably use that conference room as well for people who probably are not as welcome here as we would, as we would like.
Once again, mincing words for public consumption. Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Havey,
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
you're saying we're going to get another how much?
we're gonna get, this is for family court funding, because they break up criminal and family court. So the real goal is, for ILS, in my opinion, is they're gonna start funding family court like they do the criminal. And so they started with a project, and I just got the email when I was sitting here, and we put in a grant for $750 a year for 3 years. They indicated in the email that they've granted between $500 and $750, so I'm assuming we get the $750 because that's what we put in for our grant, and they did award it to, the email said that we were one of the awardees for the $750, and that's $250 over.
And you
over
won't
3
have
years.
any problem spending it, so we won't be in this position again in 3 years?
Well, I don't anticipate so, and so we just I just took over in March, so it's been kind of like drinking water from a fire hose a little bit. So we're trying to catch up, and so I don't think we will, we're going to try and, I guess that in my mind, the real goal is we want to, if we can enhance the services to the public, corresponding lowering the output that we put out relative to assigned counsel, and that's been my sort of what I'm trying to marry is, make it cost effective for the county. So not just to put people on, but okay, we're going to put people on, or we're going to do this. Is it going to achieve a cost savings for the county? And that's really and that's a little more challenging, I guess, but that's my goal, because you want to try and enhance services, get a little savings, make everyone, that is a goal. And then as long as we're previewing. So another thing that's not even in the report is, so we're doing interim billing. We make everybody now bill wherever they're at by the end of the year. So you're going to see a huge bill come in. And the reason we're doing that, again, is so we can kind of keep our budget going. We can keep our grant going from the state to cover a portion of that. So we have instead of waiting 2 years to get these huge bills, we're going to hopefully be on a more consistent basis with what we're really spending every year. So you'll be able to budget and know, and we'll be able to plan out better. So by the end of the year, everyone should bill.
Well, that
for the
will
most
help
part.
you with in obtaining other outside funding too, is that
Right.
correct?
Because we report back, we have to quarterly report, and then and it's going to help us budget too. It's going to help everybody.
Whether it
So-
be grants or direct revenue from the state or whatever. Thank you.
Right. Any questions?
Yeah. Anybody have anything else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year. Okay, up next, Mr. Scott Granatier, Probation Director. Happy New Year, sir.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Good afternoon. You have my monthly report. Not much change in December from prior months. We're seeing overall steady increase in PSIs across the board, far above where we were a year before. And that usually translates into more supervision cases for the following year. So we're anticipating workloads to be steadily increasing. Answer any questions you may have on the report.
Yeah. Pretty self-explanatory, I guess. We have some business to do as well, I guess, huh?
Yes, I have two MOEs. The first is a request to the acceptance of grant funding from DCJS. This is for our pretrial services program in the amount of $60,289, and that is to be offset. That will offset our personnel expenses for pretrial services.
Okay. Can we have a motion on that, please?
You'll move it.
Thank you. And a second.
Demickle, second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Item number 2.
This MOE is a request for a resolution to approve a new contract with a new electronic home monitoring service program. We have worked with one provider for as long as I've been with the probation department, and this has been in discussions for the last few years. And last year, we really wanted to take a closer look at it. We think we found an opportunity to work with a new outfit, and we would like permission to pursue that. We think it will be a better product, more efficient software, more user-friendly, better training, and also a cost savings to the county overall with this new outfit. We're very impressed with how they presented for us, and we'd like to give them a try.
So move, Seer.
Thank you. A second? Thank you. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Anything else, sir?
Nothing today, thank you.
Thank you.
Have
Have
good
a
day.
wonderful day.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gilbert Green, sir. Good afternoon and
Good afternoon.
Happy New Year.
Not much to add from my report. Did think I was going to get a chance to go to New York City, but that got squashed, so.
Yeah. Anything to report from the new gas station in Angelica? Anything we should know? Anything we'd
I
like to know?
Got a grand tour last month from Mr. Sear. So met the people that are in charge of it, so
Okay.
they'll let me know when it's ready to go and we'll go check it out.
Any questions for Mr. Green? No. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Good luck with your surgery.
Thank you.
Okay. Up next, we have Mr. Under Sheriff Walt Mackney. Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year to you. Good afternoon. Sheriff sends his regrets. He's well under the weather. Probably a product of his overworking in addition to other viruses and things out there. I understand you have a copy of his report. I think it's important to mention again that this year we held the first annual Kevin Shea Toy Drive, which was a resounding success. Toy donations were accepted at various locations throughout the county, and according to the sheriff, the community response to this event was nothing short of amazing, which I agree with the assistance of the Shea family. Over 100 deserving children and families received multiple gifts for Christmas, including personalized stockings filled with gifts. It was hosted at the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office. A Christmas party where we had Santa and Mrs. Claus were present, and local law enforcement was able to have one-on-one interaction with the children while sharing some Christmas cookies and hot cocoa. We also had some special guests, then District Attorney-elect Ian Jones, Mr. Havey was there present also, Allegheny County Probation, the Fraud Unit, Wellness Team, New York State Police from Amity, Uniform and BCI, Bolivar PD, and of course our administrative team, as well as the New York State Office of Court Administration and officers and deputies from the Sheriff's Office. It was quite an event, as I know you're aware, Mr. Havey.
Yeah. If I could, on that subject, the children that were there not only were in danger of not having a decent Christmas, but they never get any positive interaction from the police. And this was an opportunity for them to meet with, talk to, and become a little closer on a personal basis with officers from various, as was mentioned, various departments. This is a really good event. I was very pleased to have been invited to be there, and I thought it turned out very well. It was very well run, went like clockwork. So, very
As you and I both well recall the days of Shop with a Cop, which was always a great event in Allegheny County where the children got to interact with law enforcement officers. Unfortunately, that event is no longer possible, so we're trying to recreate it best we can.
yeah, it was a good event. I was glad to have been there. Any questions on this part of the report for anybody, from anybody? No? Okay. Got more report, or are we going to business?
I guess business.
All right. Let's do that.
We have a request to fill a position. It's a corrections corporal position. This is currently in the budget, and the corporal's position opening is due to a resignation.
So move, Seer.
A second? Thank you. Discussion on this. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Whoa, I'm sorry, Mr. Barnes. My apologies, sir.
Well, I was a little bit late on the draw. New position, this is a new position,
No, sir, it's an existing position.
existing position?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm looking at your report. You've got, as of the 27th of December, 49 people incarcerated, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's down considerably from a year or 2 years ago. How does the number of personnel in the sheriff's department respond to the lower numbers? I mean, are we,
Well, as I'm sure you're aware, the population of the jail is kind of like the ocean. There's some ebb and there's some flow. You know, depending on the circumstances, our population could grow in the next couple days by 10 or 12 people. So as far as how it corresponds with the number of corrections officers we have, we are mandated by state Department of Corrections to have a certain number of corrections officer on staff, and I believe that's where we're at this point.
I understand, I understand that. I guess my question here is, you're looking for a food service helper. I'm just wondering, is the need really there if we're a lot lower as far as the number of people
Oh, I'm
being
sorry, sir, I
helped?
thought we were on the corrections
Yeah,
corporal.
yeah, let's do the corrections corporal and get that done first, then we'll go to the other one, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Anything more on the corrections corporal? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. Let's do food service helper.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Again, request to fill. Again, this is in the budget. I might note correction on the application, and I think this is a clerical error, if I'm not mistaken, and if I have to be corrected, I'm certainly happy to be corrected. But I don't believe there's any cost for benefits for this position because it's part-time, and so there would be no benefits assigned.
Okay,
So move, Seer. Helio, second.
thank you. Further discussion on this?
Yeah, I want to expand on the undersheriff's comment. There still will be our share of FICA. There still will be retirement if they choose to join the retirement because part-timers are entitled to join the retirement. So depending on what they pick individually, there will still be some cost, but it's not as much as if it was a full-time person.
Okay.
This is for the food service.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, the prisoners have to eat, that's another requirement, right?
That's my understanding.
Thank you.
In a perfect world, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You have it's 100% funded by the county, but is it in the 2024 budget?
So as far as I know, yes, it is in the budget.
Okay. Other questions? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that is carried. I think we're done, and I thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question for Mr. McNey.
Oh,
Hi.
Dan, go ahead.
I believe it was shortly before Christmas, maybe, your officers were giving out hams and turkeys.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you explain that program a little bit, please? Because I was getting texts saying, what's going on, that the sheriff's department in Allegheny County, and I said, it's not Allegheny County, we didn't approve anything.
So I'm going to defer to Major Ivers, our jail administrator, because he's a little more familiar with the program than I am, having had a little bit more time with it than me.
Sure, to the best of my knowledge, it was actually the Allegheny County Deputy Sheriff's Association, as this is part of their charity drive that they do annually. They go to different parts of the county to distribute hams and turkeys to people that may need them during the holidays.
So it's not the department itself, it's
It's the Sheriff's Association, or the Deputy Sheriff's Association.
Which
so
is
the
a
union.
nonprofit organization.
I think the confusion is because they were in uniform,
Sure.
which is fine. It's a great program. I'm not criticizing it by any means. I just was getting a text saying, wow, nice of Allegheny County to give out hams and turkeys. I'm like, I don't know anything about this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anything
Thank
else
you.
on that? Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Next, we have something from our clerk of the board, Brenda Wrigley-Reilly. Brenda?
Yes, the first appointment is the Southwestern Regional EMS, or Emergency Medical Services Council. It's my understanding that that no longer requires a resolution. That is going to be a recommendation from our own EMS advisory board. So no action is required on that first one. The second one is appointments to the Traffic Safety Board, and they requested that legislators reappoint Gwen Cooper, Jimmy Joyce, David Riskey, and Sean Whitney.
Okay.
I'll move that.
Thank you. And a second?
Seer.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Up next,
We also received a recommendation from the EMS Advisory Board that the following individuals be reappointed for a 2-year term. Susan Campbell, Scott Cicerello, Kenneth Cottrell, Neil Green, Timothy Kogel, Gordon Maker, Thomas Sampson, Margaret Thompson, Bonnie Van Husen, Kevin Waters, and Paul Weaver.
okay, a motion?
I'll move that.
Thank you. A second?
Seer.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried.
And they're also requesting that 2 new members be appointed, and that's Dennis Graves and Brian Jones.
Stocking moves.
Okay, and a second?
Healy will second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is also carried. Thank you. Do we have any old business? New business? Good of the order. All right. I will take a motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. A second? Nobody wants to leave.
Demick will second it.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We're